Previously, on Fear the Walking Dead, the radio drama.
Nick's been hit by a car.
This virus that's going around, the shootings the past few days, it's connected.
We're working on a census here in Safe Zone, India, and our squad has been assigned to your home.
It's gonna get better now. The cavalry's arrived.
It is already too late.
We are on the offensive. The tide has most definitely turned.
It's been 9 days. What have they done? They promised medicine, doctors, electricity, information. Where is it? I have 2 names. Yes, Griselda Salazar, Daniel Salazar. Niet, not you. Nicholas Clark? What?
Are you coming? Liza!
We have a plan.
You have a United States soldier strapped to a chair in a goddamn basement.
Let me help the boy. I'll keep an eye on him.
There are no refunds. Kid turns, it is your ass.
Yeah, I'm an addict.
No, you are a heroin addict.
That's the gold standard, see? Don't sell yourself short. Suddenly, Griselda begins hyperventilating until her breathing abruptly stops with a final gasp for breath.
Traumatic brain injury is the only thing that stops them from coming back.
Cobalt is the command code to initiate evac from LA Basin.
Evac? When? When do we leave?
Not you, just us.
I think he has given us all he can.
No, we still need him.
I don't want to have to shoot you, old man.
You should save your ammunition.
Then the sound of snarling begins to overtake the base as a huge horde of infected approach the gates.
Doctor, we need a way out.
You can get out, but there's nowhere to go.
Nick looks into the binoculars as Strand has them set and sees a yacht far out on the water. Abigail.
Liza, what's wrong?
She takes a moment, then lifts up her shirt slightly, displaying the bite mark on the right side of her abdomen.
Doesn't matter how you die, you come back. Don't let that happen to me. Don't let our son see that. Okay?
I'll protect him. I'll protect him. Travis turns to Madison, eyes wide with sorrow. Then he outstretches his hand. She nods and steps forward to give him the gun. As the bombs begin to drop, Nick, Strand, Alicia, Daniel, and Ofelia load onto the speedboat and rush off to the Abigail. Madison stands at the shore and watches the boat go out of sight and on its way. On the speedboat, Strand stands dramatically, looking forward and shouting instructions to Nick. Though the others kept on their same clothes, Strand has performed an outfit change into a black turtleneck and a black beanie, as if he was attempting a heist. Nick appears to be enjoying his new skill as he pilots the small boat across the waves, wind flowing through his hair. Nick, grab the bowline. You're gonna tie off. Back on shore, Madison rushes back to a huge pile of luggage that they all managed to pack, where Travis is loading himself up with an assortment of duffel bags.
I can't see them anymore.
They're out past the break. They'll come back for us.
What then?
No one's that far ahead.
Beside the luggage pile, Chris silently sits by his mother's corpse, which he's wrapped in white sheets and brought to the shore beside the pile. Over the past day, his wound inflicted by the soldier in the parking garage has healed into just a black eye. Travis looks out to the sea from the pile. Come on. He rushes back to the pile, and he and Madison share a look as they see Chris looming over Liza's body.
Go take care of him.
He nods as Madison runs over to the shore. In the distance, she sees the lights of the Abigail turn on. On the yacht, Strand runs up a set of stairs to reach the bridge, starting the engines when he arrives at the controls. Nick helps the others off the speedboat, loosely ties it down, then runs to the bridge as well. Strand! The boat's unloaded! When he joins him on the bridge, Strand is simply staring off in the distance at dozens of other lights on the horizon. That's unfortunate. Hey, we need to go back. No, you need to go back, because we are about to have a number of uninvited guests. Nick inquisitively steps forward and looks out the window to see the other lights on the horizon. The Abigail can survive on the sea for a long time. Others will covet that. He points toward the distant lights. They will covet that. Point the launch towards land like I showed you. Go! Back on shore, Madison and Travis continue moving luggage to the end of the beach, while Chris remains unmoving. Until they all hear the telltale signs of the undead. They look back up to the mansion and see dozens of infected walking toward the sea, driven out of the city by the bombs.
Travis.
Oh, Jesus, Maddie. They both look side to side down the beach, only to see infected coming at them from that direction, too. Chris! Chris shakes his head and grabs a large rock to defend himself with. Chris, move to the water. Get to the pile. I can't. Chris! I'm not leaving her!
Travis.
Madison picks up a rock from the beach to use as a weapon as
Chris,
Travis is hit from behind by an infected. He spins around to hit it with the small plastic chest he's holding, but ends up spinning himself and the infected to the ground. He grabs a large, sturdy stick and pushes back the infected as it attempts to bite him. Travis struggles with the infected for another moment before Madison arrives with her rock and kills it. They both take a breath, but then they're each hit from behind by another infected.
Travis!
Maddie! Madison quickly gets the better of the infected she's facing, hitting it with her rock until it dies. Travis struggles for a moment before knocking his down and punching it once in the face before finishing it with the stick. Despite the momentary success against a few infected, they look up to see that they'll soon be overwhelmed by their numbers.
Come on! Let's go! Let's go!
Nick returns in the boat just in time, moving it slowly as he approaches the shore, but waving them to prepare to board. Madison grabs what she can from the pile and runs out into the water to get in the boat. Travis runs back to the pile, scooping Liza's body up in his arms and nodding to the pile. Go! Chris complies, grabbing a few bags from the pile, and they run out to the boat as well. Madison catches one of the bags Chris throws into the boat, then helps him up. Travis arrives last, carefully handing the corpse to Chris, who slowly lowers it down into the boat. Nick gives a blatant look of confusion upon seeing this, but has no time to ask questions, as Travis is hit by a wave, nearly going under.
Come
on!
Come on!
With one hand on the boat, Travis flails about as Madison and Chris grab his hand and pull him up, just as an infected pops his head up from underwater. Nick jumps to action as the infected nears, taking the boat's motor and lifting it up out of the water. The infected walks straight into the motor, and its face is completely shredded off, leaving nothing but a fractured skull. Madison turns away in disgust. Nick nods proudly at his kill, then begins to navigate out of the shallows. On land, we see the burning remains of the mansion and others surrounding it, as infected walk down towards the beach and away from the city. Back at the Abigail, Daniel defensively holds the shotgun at the docking point for the speedboat as the others make their way back. As they near, Strand comes outside and nods proudly. Well done, Nick. They run up onto the small dock, and Daniel helps them out of the boat. Travis carries Liza's body out and onto the yacht, where Ofelia stands by silently. Nick ties the bowline and steps out himself. Strand returns to the bridge with Nick and pushes a lever to get the Abigail moving. As they move farther out to sea, Madison, Alicia, and Daniel stand together at the edge, looking back at the city. Ofelia walks slowly towards them, while Chris and Travis stand back, holding Liza's corpse together. A few more planes arrive to bomb the city, and they all watch their home be obliterated. Once they're far enough away, they see past the burning coastal mansions and get a view of the horrific destruction. LA has lit up once again, but the entire city's been leveled. There's no going back now. This is Fear the Walking Dead, the radio drama, Season 2. Today's episode is sourced from Season 2, Episode 1, Monster, which was directed by Adam Davidson and written by Dave Erickson. In the morning, Strand gives Nick instructions on how to load the speedboat back into its compartment. Daniel sips his coffee and watches them intently. Then once the winch is set, there's a switch inside the trunk, you see. He gives this last instruction and promptly jogs up a small set of stairs.
Shouldn't you be on the bridge?
He continues on up to the top of the boat. On deck, Alicia and Madison come outside. The boat will tell me if there's an obstacle.
How far can it take us?
3,000 miles. More, in fact, if we don't stress the engines. On the top deck, which has a seating area and a simplified version of the control panel below, Strand looks over the railing and out to sea.
That'll give us options.
Sure, we can make it all the way to El Salvador. Below, the winch pulls the boat into its compartment, which then begins to close. We can survive on the Abigail for quite some time. The four of them relax outside, enjoying the morning sea breeze. Below deck, Travis passes an open door and sees Chris quietly sitting on the end of a bed, hugging his knees and staring straight forward. Liza's body, still wrapped in the white sheet, lays on the bed. He begins to walk in and talk to Chris, but is interrupted by the sound of many people screaming above deck. There, Nick sits with his shirt off, tied around his head. Daniel comes down holding the shotgun, and the two look out and see a small skiff packed to the brim with people. Madison and Alicia join them.
Mayday!
Oh God.
Mayday!
What are we gonna do? Mom? Go get Travis.
Madison sprints up the stairs to the bridge, where Strand sits totally unbothered.
Strand, stop the boat.
That's funny.
There are people out there we can help. They'll drown.
Then they should return to land.
We're too far out. There's nothing to go back to. Don't do this.
I filled my mercy quota. 7 people saved to date. Be thankful. Outside, as the Abigail passes beside the skiff, Alicia returns with Travis.
We got company.
We need a doctor!
Oh shit. Where's Madison?
She's talking to Strand. We gotta get these people.
Travis stares out at the boat full of people pensively, not responding to Alicia.
We're gonna help them, right?
Right now, you help us. Inside, there's a radio. Listen to the channels. We gotta get a track on where we can go that's safe, okay?
What about these people?
Look, I'm gonna talk to Strand. If you could do that for us. Right now, go. She nods, then takes one last look out at the people in need before running inside. She finds the radio near the entrance, turns it on, and goes below deck to listen. Inside, Strand continues explaining himself to Madison. We have to stay away from the coast, stay away from other people, stay away from the other boats. Travis runs in to hear him say this. Well, what then? South. We circle down to San Diego.
Travis, there's a boat.
Marines at Pendleton, Navy at Coronado, Border Patrol. If they held the line anywhere, the military are not gonna help us. You prefer the alternative?
Stop the goddamn boat. That's the alternative.
Strand's cool demeanor is broken, and he looks back for the first time in the conversation. If I stop the boat, it'll be to drop folks off, not take them on. Madison turns and looks to Travis expectantly, but he shakes his head. We can't stop, Maddie. It's not safe. Shocked, she storms past him and out of the bridge. Strand pushes the accelerator farther forward. Outside, Nick and Daniel watch helplessly as the Abigail moves past the skiff, and it grows smaller and quieter. Madison comes outside, angrily heading below deck. Mom, what happened?
Ask your new friend.
Following Travis's instructions, Alicia walks the halls below deck, listening to the radio.
Mayday, mayday, mayday. This is the summer wind. We're taking on water.
There's another boat. They're boarding. I don't know what they're gonna do.
People on the cliff. People are jumping.
They got hurt and they won't wake up.
I saw his head go away. It just went away. I can't.
Alicia sits and listens to these bits and pieces of radio transmissions solemnly. Outside, Nick sits on a bit of railing, looking out to sea as Travis comes outside. Daniel stands there too, and the three of them watch as the skiff disappears into the distance.
This is Coast Guard Station, LALB. We have no assistance to provide. I repeat, there's no rescue by sea, land, or air. There's nothing. Please forgive us.
Tired of these horrible tales, Alicia turns the radio off and lies on the ground, covering her eyes and squinting them closed. Strand, now wearing aviators, takes a plastic cup full of whiskey to the top deck, where Nick has come to meet him. Ahoy! Nick puts his shirt back on as Strand sits back in the chair beside the control panel. I think you should have stopped. We had this conversation in the pens. Was I not clear? This was different. I'm sorry you feel that way. Nick takes an unlit cigarette out of his pocket and pops it into his mouth, then leans against the railing casually. So, what if San Diego doesn't work? I don't know. The whole world is I don't know right now. You, of all people, should be used to that. Alicia comes above deck, carrying the radio, and walks over to Madison, who stands by the railing on the side of the boat.
Let's find you someplace to sleep. It's not happening. You've been up all night. So have you, so has everyone. No one slept.
Madison walks over and puts a hand on the radio.
What are you doing? Travis told me to do this. We don't even know where we're going. We're heading south, San Diego. Or so it seems. Okay, and you know that's safe how?
Madison's face goes blank, and she doesn't have an answer.
Right. Just let me do this. Please? Okay.
Defeated, Madison walks away.
I'll sleep soon, I promise.
Below deck, Madison enters her and Travis's room. Travis sits on the bed, lost in thought. He's just sitting in there, staring at her body. I don't know what to do.
There's nothing to do.
This shakes Travis out of his trance, and he looks over at her as she ruffles through the duffels. Maddie, look at me. She ignores him. I know you wanted to help those people.
How many did we leave behind?
You think that was easy for me? But look at us. Look where we are. We're on this boat with no supplies, no concrete plan. We got an old man, a hurt woman, scared kids, and a corpse. You think bringing those people on board this ship is saving them?
I think about Matt. I think about our neighbors.
I think about them too.
Yeah, I can't do that anymore. I can't live with that.
So what if those people were sick? What if they were infected? We don't know. And we're no good to anyone if we can't take care of our own family. That's who we have to hang on to, Maddie. You, Alicia, Nick, Chris. I have to protect my son. That's what it has to be. With a change of clothes in hand, she walks toward the open door of their room. I need you with me.
I am.
Out on the deck, Alicia continues fiddling with the radio's dial.
Negative on that. Negative on that.
Haven't seen anybody for days. Over. We have no food, we have no water.
She sits back and listens for a moment.
Hello?
Alicia glances down, confused.
Hello? Is anybody out there? Anyone alive? We're alive, man. Barely. The end of the world's got me super nostalgic. Give me a shout out if you dig this tune.
She presses down the button on the microphone and brings it up to her mouth, but second guesses herself and releases it.
Hello? Is someone there? You're not gonna get this song out of your head now, and you're welcome.
She holds the mic up to her mouth for another moment, hesitating once again.
You're shy. That's cool. Doesn't seem much point to that now, but yeah, I get it. I understand. Come on. Please talk to me. Please say something. Just say something.
I'm here.
the man that leads me rocking on the deep blue sea. I mean the deep blue sea.
In the room he's selected for himself, Chris pulls the sheet away from Liza's face so he can see her. He shakes his head briefly, then leans down and kisses her on the forehead. I'm sorry. He covers her up, then sits there for a few more moments on the verge of tears. Later, Chris finally leaves the room, going outside to the back end of the ship, where he finds Daniel fishing. Beside him sit a couple of closed coolers and a bucket of bait. Cool. Daniel briefly looks over at him, nods, then looks back out to sea. Chris takes a piece of bait and easily attaches it to the hook, then casts his line out.
Your father taught you?
In a lake. Not like this. Big Bear, when I was a kid. So what do we catch out here?
Depends. Calico bass, yellowtail, rockfish, whitefish. Sorry about your mother.
He quickly looks over to him, but calmly nods. Sorry about your wife.
Yeah.
Daniel begins to reel in his line just as Travis approaches, standing silently and watching them. Neither of us got to say goodbye.
It would have not made a difference.
Travis walks away as Daniel finishes reeling in his catch, a black eel. Daniel takes a small wooden club and hits the eel in the head, stopping its flailing.
Eel. Not pretty, but the meat is good.
He and Chris share a triumphant smile. Below deck, Nick is coming downstairs as Ofelia is coming up, and he almost runs into her. Whoa.
Oh, sorry.
They do an awkward back and forth for a moment until Nick steps to the side and motions for her to pass. He glances down at her bandage as she does, and turns around. Hey, do you want help with your bandage? That doesn't look too good.
Yeah, Liza said it would take some time to heal.
I'm actually pretty good with that stuff.
I think I can manage.
She turns and walks up the stairs. Okay. Hey, if you put ointment directly on the pad, then cover it, it hurts less.
Thanks.
And ice is good for the pain. They both nod and walk away, Nick shouting out his last bit of advice. And vodka. Lots of vodka. Ofelia grins, then heads upstairs. Elsewhere below deck, Alicia is talking to the man on the radio, who she's learned is named Jack.
Boat got knocked around. When we left the marina, everyone kind of lost their minds.
Is it your brother's boat?
Yeah, he's got this shitty little boat, but he fishes out of Pedro, him and our cousin.
Is it safe there? Where you are now?
I think so. We found a cove. It's just, we don't have food and the fish aren't biting.
Where is it?
It's, I don't know if I should say. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. I understand.
Where were you when it happened? You okay?
It's just not fair. It was over before I knew it started. It was all over.
I'm sorry.
Have you lost anyone?
Back on the lower deck, Daniel is mopping up the mess left behind from he and Chris's fishing when Travis walks down. How's Chris? I saw you guys talking.
We were fishing. You don't talk when you fish.
Travis rolls his eyes and walks over to lean against the railing, looking out on the water. Daniel stops mopping and walks over to him.
One day, Chris will understand. What you did for his mother was an act of mercy. What I would not give to trade my failure for your mercy.
In the evening, the entire group gathers at the edge of the middle deck. Between two rails sits a table, upon which Liza's body is held. Chris stands off to the side. Everyone looks at Travis expectantly after a moment of silence. You all knew Liza long enough to see what kind of person she was, how devoted she was to her family. She loved to help people. She would help anyone, She did. She was selfless, you know? She would just give from her heart, and she could be fierce. Oh my god. She was so strong, and it was painful sometimes, you know? And the best thing that we ever did together was our son, who she loved more than anything or anyone. His speech concluded, he looks over to Chris and gives a slight nod. Chris slowly makes his way over to the table, then stops and stares at his mother's face for a moment, before covering it up with the sheet. Then, suddenly, he firmly grasps the end of the table and pushes it forcefully upward, sending Liza's body flying into the sea. Everyone looks horrified at this heartless act, and Chris turns and storms off. Travis, mouth agape, looks at everyone, then chases after Chris. He catches up to him in the hallway to his bedroom. Come on, we gotta talk. No, she's gone. She's buried now. No more strangers staring at her.
They're not strangers anymore.
Strangers to me. Chris tries to slam the door shut, but Travis forces it back open. They weren't to your mother. You don't get to say that. You don't get to say that like you knew her. He shoves Travis, who squeezes his eyes shut for a moment before grabbing Chris, hugging him. Get off me! I could have said something different. I could have fixed it. How? I could have talked her out of it. What are you gonna say? What are you gonna do? I just could have fixed it. Chris, I'm sorry. I don't care. You shot her. Chris punches him in the face, causing his lip to bleed slightly. Travis stands there in the doorway as Chris fumes, then steps out, closing the door behind him. He goes upstairs into the dining area, where Madison, Daniel, and Ofelia are setting the table and pouring drinks for dinner. Madison looks up and goes to him.
Travis.
He turns around and she sees his lip. She wipes the blood off for him.
Went that well, huh?
Oh yeah, great. After the funeral, Alicia returns below deck to check the radio, as it's been a while since she spoke to Jack.
Jack? Jack?
Hold on. Shit.
Jack, what's wrong?
The hull got dinged up while we were leaving the marina. We thought we patched it up, but we're taking on water.
Are you gonna sink?
The bilge pump is working, which is a miracle itself. We're gonna try to make land.
No, you can't. The dead are there.
You die on water, you die on land. Gotta happen somewhere.
It doesn't have to be now. We can come. We can come and get you. Tell me where you are.
I can see the fire in the Santa Monica Mountains. That smoke plume, is it to your north or your south?
North.
Okay. We're just south of that. Maybe 2 miles offshore. How close are you to Katrina Island?
Hold on.
Alicia leaves the radio and runs upstairs, where everyone is getting ready for dinner or relaxing. Alicia runs to Travis as Daniel pours him a drink.
Travis, someone needs help. They're sinking.
Who?
Look, it's just him, his brother, and his sister-in-law. Just 3. We can manage that. What's this?
Alicia looks up to see that Madison and Strand have walked in.
Jack. His name is Jack.
Who the hell is Jack? They look at him uncomfortably, and Alicia doesn't answer. You gonna make me ask twice?
He's on a fishing boat near here, and he's sinking.
You talked to him?
Yes, I talked to him.
Did you tell him anything about us?
What? No, I didn't tell him anything important.
Well, what didn't you say, Alicia? What didn't you tell him about us? Calm down. This isn't a game. It's mob rule on land. You think it's any better out here? Come on, man, back off. What are you gonna do, Travis? You feel strong? Travis stands up, staring emotionlessly at Strand, who takes a step back and composes himself. Please, let me explain the rules of the boat. Rule number 1, it's my boat. Rule number 2, it is my boat. And if there remains any confusion about rules 1 and 2, I offer rule number 3. It's my goddamn boat. If it weren't for me, you would all be burned. You're welcome. He storms off back to the bridge, and Nick follows him. When he gets up there, he casually leans against the staircase and looks at Strand. I'm tired. Alicia's just trying to help. She's trying to help those who don't matter to us. She made a mistake we cannot afford, Everyone here needs to contribute, or at the very least not compromise. How do I contribute? Why am I here? You mean on this boat, or here existentially? Nick's eyes widen and he slumps down into a seat. He shrugs. Either? How many times should you have died? Strand pulls the accelerator down, slowing the boat, and takes a seat near him as they talk. I don't know. Every time I used, at least. Were you afraid? He doesn't respond, giving a look of confusion and then a small shake of his head. That's fearlessness. That's focus. Well, that's just being an addict. It's not something you can put on your resume. But what does that fearlessness look like in this world? That has value, Nicholas. Don't call me that. Your father named you that. Yeah, that's what he called me. You got it, Nick. Below deck, Madison visits Chris in his room. He's sitting at the end of the bed, and she comes in and sits on the side.
You hurt your hand?
He very subtly nods.
It's okay to be angry. I remember the first time I hit my father. I was furious. I was 13. It didn't end well.
What do you want?
I want you to come up, Chris. You need to eat. There's nothing I can say that makes this better. It hurts like hell. I know that. And it doesn't go away. The hurt stays, but what happened had to. And if your father hadn't done it, I would have. I will never let that happen to someone I love.
Chris seems to relax a bit at this explanation and looks her over. She pats him on the arm, then gets up and goes upstairs. There, Ofelia and Daniel set 2 dishes on the table made from the fish that Daniel and Chris caught. Alicia and Nick walk in, looking at the table in amazement and quickly take a seat. Returning the favor, Travis pours Daniel a drink as Madison comes back upstairs and they hug. They begin, like a family, to sit down around the table as Nick goofs around with the eel, then finds a knife to cut it with. As they get settled and begin serving the food, Chris comes upstairs and into the dining area. Only Travis seems to notice him as he walks right by everyone and out back to the lower deck. Chris walks up to the edge and stares out to the sea. Inside, Madison and Ofelia discuss the food.
Yeah, this here.
Yeah, it's actually an old family recipe. You just take some.
After taking a moment to process, Nick is the first to sprint out back. Madison and Ofelia quickly follow. Travis, who'd just gone upstairs looking for Strand, quickly comes back down. What was that?
There was a splash.
As the 2 of them rush out, Nick runs to the edge. Hey, Chris! Without hesitation, he dives into the water and swims away from the boat. Madison sees this and sighs. Out in the water, Nick grabs onto Chris, who spins around. What the hell, man? What the hell are you doing? I wanted to swim. Oh, okay. Then swim. They both smile, and Nick, whose jacket has puffed up, leans back and relaxes in the water.
Is he alright?
Chris? Hey, come on in. Water's fine. The adults breathe a sigh of relief. Chris paddles around while Nick takes a deep breath and dives straight down. On the other side of the ship, Alicia carries the radio to the bow and sits down.
Alicia?
Jack. We can't come get you. I'm sorry, it's too dangerous.
It's okay, Alicia. I got you.
Jack?
I'll see you soon.
Alicia puts down the radio, then nervously stands up, looking around in the distance. On the bridge, Strand is studying the instruments when an alarm goes off on one of the panels, indicating debris nearby. Underwater, Nick continues swimming around until he looks up and notices someone floating face down in the water above him. Concerned, he begins to swim back toward the surface, but quickly realizes that this person is not just dead, but an infected. Close enough to see its eyes as it slowly grabs toward him through the water, Nick bursts back above the water and starts to swim back to the Abigail. Mom! On the deck, Madison points out to the foggy sea.
Oh shit, Travis.
The others rush back to the deck to look at what Madison has seen. The water is completely filled with corpses, and breaking through the fog is the skiff they left behind earlier, now overturned.
Oh my god.
Chris,
get out of the water.
Get out of there! Chris turns back and sees the horrific scene and begins rapidly swimming back. Travis hops into the speedboat and tries to start it. Alicia comes and stands beside Madison.
Oh my god. Where is he?
Nick stops in his tracks and looks back toward the boat, hearing something suspicious.
Wait, I think I hear someone.
He dives back under and swims toward the skiff. Despite many attempts, Travis is unable to start the speedboat. Shit, it's flooded. Madison hands him a paddle.
Go!
Travis begins paddling out toward Chris and Nick.
Chris!
In the water, Chris is pursued by an infected wearing a life jacket. Travis takes the boat to him, then sticks the paddle out for him to grab.
Chris, come on!
Dad!
He grabs the paddle, and Travis pulls him in just as the infected grabs him, only barely grazing his ankle.
Nick!
At the edge of the skiff, Nick dives back underwater and pops up inside the boat. Light pours in from countless bullet holes. Nick looks around, horrified by what was done to these people, and investigates the loose supplies floating around. Eventually, he finds the boat's log in a waterproof bag, and picks it up. It's only then that he discovers the source of the thuds that he heard, as an infected pops up and grabs onto him. Outside, Travis navigates closer and closer to the overturned boat, dodging infected as they go. Nick struggles with the infected inside the boat, and it brings its mouth right next to his neck, nearly overtaking him. Gathering a last burst of strength, Nick pushes the infected off of him just in time. Instead of coming at him again, it's distracted by Travis's voice, allowing Nick the time he needs to gather himself, take a deep breath, and go back under. Up on the top deck of the Abigail, Strand watches this scene from afar, when suddenly, the alarm begins to sound once again. He looks at the readings for a moment before deciphering their meaning. Holy shit. He sprints downstairs to join the others on the lower deck, just in time to see Travis and Chris pull Nick, still carrying the boat's log, into the speedboat and begin to paddle back. We should be leaving now. Someone's joining us.
Travis!
It could be no one. He turns back to return to the bridge, but stops right next to Alicia, staring her down. Or it could be the ones who did that. Seeing that the boys are safe, Madison follows Strand up to the bridge to assess the danger.
Travis has Nick and Chris. They're coming back.
Great, but this boat's gonna be on us. They're doing a good 25 knots. They are flying.
How fast can we go?
Full out? 20. But that would work the engines too hard. We need a head start.
You think that's the boat who killed those people?
You wanna wait around and ask them? Understanding the risk, she runs back down to the lower deck just as Travis paddles the boat back up.
Toss the line here.
Daniel holds onto the line and ties the speedboat up as Travis, Nick, and Chris dismount.
We have to go.
What?
Strand, we're clear.
Hey, what's happening? What's going on?
Whoever did that, they're coming back. This has been Fear the Walking Dead, the radio drama. Today's episode was sourced from Season 2, Episode 1, Monster, which was created by Adam Davidson and written by Dave Erickson. This production was brought to you by Parker, director, editor, and writer, and Tate, assistant director, casting director, enforcer, wizard, and thumbnail artist. This episode starred Parker as the narrator, Travis, Nick, Chris, and Strand, Tate as Madison, Alicia, and Daniel, and Hope as Ofelia. Our supporting cast from this episode includes Luke as Jack, Parker as Skiff Passenger, Hall as Radio Person 1, Cake as Radio Person 2. And here we are on another mic to finish this outro. Knox as Radio Person 3. Line? Monarch as Radio Person 4. Deadface as Radio Person 5. Roe as Radio Person 6. And Gray as Coast Guardsman. Thanks for listening. If you're enjoying the series so far, leave a like and a comment, and make sure to subscribe to hear the next episode. Also, check out our Discord link in the description to come chat with us or even join the cast of the radio drama yourself. And then I think the rest is for Parker to say. Okay. Bye.
I would like to take a moment to both formally apologize and specially recognize my co-creator and brother, Tate. I promised I would give a special shout out here. After failing to do so in the season 1 finale. I can't do it with straight face. Thanks, Tate. This show would not exist without you and your contributions to the channel. That's... I said it wrong. Whatever. Back to my normal rambling that everyone skips. Welcome back to the show. This is the first full-length episode I've made in Adobe Audition, so my apologies if there are some growing pains. By the time we get a few episodes out this way, hopefully we'll be beyond the expectations that even I have for myself. We're also starting this exciting new journey out on the ocean, and I'm excited to explore the storylines that come along with it. Most notably, we're going to get to know Strand really well in this 7-episode half season, and hopefully you'll all come to appreciate him not just as a cool guy, but as a deep, fascinating character. We set out an ambitious development plan for these 7 episodes, so the plan from here is to release a main series episode every other week until we're through, with other content to fill the off weeks, of course. And finally, this is just a warning that we're going to have a lot of Spanish in the show starting around episode 6 of the season, and continuing all the way through season 3. So I encourage you to be mindful of the fact that we're probably going to end up adding captions that translate for our majority English-speaking audience. So you might have to be a little more active while listening to these episodes, but I promise it'll be worth it to hear this story. Thanks again, and tune in next time for episode 2, We All Fall Down.